Jose Garza, and tonight my guest is my best man, my homie, my mother from another mother. He is Jesse, aka Darkness Mendez. What up, brother?
What's up, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you. How you been up to?
How I've been up to? I've been up to
How?
good. How I've been up to? Pretty good, man. My wife's a little sick, you know that, but we're in good spirits. We're surrounded by a great community, and work has been picking up. So we're blessed, and that's all I can say.
Yeah, definitely, man. Of course, if y'all know Jesse personally, which I think most of y'all do, if you follow me, um, keep him and his family in prayer, his wife, everybody. Just that's all we want to say for that. um, so Jesse, I wanted to bring you on here because you are, how do I say this
Dark.
nicely? No, I mean that's your nickname, but you are very. I guess how would you describe yourself when it comes to the matter? So when it comes to politics, you are in, and I mean in as far as defending shit that you truly believe in. Not whether it's far right, not whether it's far left. It's shit that you truly believe in and you calculate as being factual and honest. Do you agree?
Facts. I think one thing that people getting into politics or debates or whatever the topic is, I think they kind of forget to try to understand the other person, and what they're trying to do is just respond. So they're so quick to respond but not understand.
Yep, I understand.
It's
um,
good.
so in this case, since we are a sports talk, video podcast, whatever you want to call it, politics that has been mixing with sports the last couple of years. May, People can say as far as 2016 with the Colin Kaepernick stuff.
Hmm.
People can say further back, right?
Oh yeah, I think the Olympics. I forgot what year it was, but it was a long time ago. It was in
No,
black and white.
yeah,
They did a protest.
yeah. There's history has gone beyond as far as the level of racism and the battle against it. So I guess the reason I brought you on is because I wanted to hear your opinion. So recently, a soccer player or football player, as most people want to address him as, Zoltan. I'm not going to try.
Zoltan. I don't know.
Zoltan. Yeah, I'm not going to try to butcher that last name. So if you know who the fuck I'm talking about, cool. If you don't, Google it. But anyways,
Just type in a bunch of random letters and you'll find them.
so he recently had an interview where he was critical of LeBron James. LeBron James, forward for the Los Angeles Lakers, you know, been a big activist for, social injustice, community, stuff like that. Zoltan, and I'll read you the quote he said right now. He's a phenomenal at what he does, but I don't like when people have some kind of status, they go and do politics at the same time. Do what you're good at. Do the category you do. I play football because I'm the best at playing football. I don't do politics. If I would be a political politician, I would do politics. So basically, he's telling LeBron, you know, don't involve yourself with that. That's not your business. You're a basketball player. You're fantastic at what you do. Do that. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, first, I don't think he was literally saying that he shouldn't have a voice in like big things, like, you know what I mean, like the Black Lives Matter movement or just racism in general. I think he was talking about his platform, like doing it at sports events. Because LeBron James he's very passionate, and that's one thing I noticed. He's a passionate man. I know he has a LeBron James Foundation. I know he donates a lot of money and a lot of time to third graders because I think he had done some research and statistically, starting at third grade, if the kid starts failing and I guess not being involved in school, you know what I mean? I was that kid. They're most likely not to graduate. So I applaud him for that. That's one thing that's really good. And he's a very caring person.
And to be clear, LeBron James does have his own school, the I Promise School.
Yes, yes.
Free tuition, allow students to go there.
Hmm.
Amazing activist. Like he does
Exactly.
great work. But
So
so go on.
I was just gonna say one thing that about passionate people is you can tell how someone's passionate by their emotions. You know what I mean? By their actions. Him being passionate about third graders and knowing that there's a potentiality. I think that's a word. That them failing. You know what I mean? And not passing. So he took action on that.
Right.
With other matters, I don't typically agree with him on a lot of the racism aspect because I think he tends to generalize it a lot more. And it's harder.
Clarify that for anybody who's watching this. Clarify what you mean by that.
Um, so a lot of time, and it's a lot of people. It's not just athletes. It's a lot of people in general when they get into the debate or the topic of racism is they generalize a lot where they'll say all white people are racist or all cops are bad. All cops are looking to get the black people in jail. Like it's a general aspect when you're taking anecdotal evidence and just I don't know if you know what anecdotal means. It's taking personal specific situations that happen to you that doesn't revolve around facts, doesn't revolve around research, but it's a specific a personal situation that happened. So using anecdotal evidence doesn't really help statistics because that's kind of what you're avoiding. You're avoiding the statistics. You're not really doing the research. You're just using your personal experiences to generalize a situation.
Can we say that for a fact, though? Can we be honest? Like, we could say that we believe that, or but I mean, LeBron's not stupid, right? Like, he's done his work as far as being, like I said, an activist, like being, trying to portray, use his platform, as we said, like to really like let people know, like, hey, this is what we feel is really going on. Like me and you are Hispanics. We can only say what we can feel as people who have like been from, racism with or prejudice with, Mexicans or shit like that. Our parents, cousins, shit like that, But can we really say that, LeBron doesn't know just because we think we don't know that he does, or just because,
Well, what he's saying isn't really lining up with statistical evidence. You know what I mean? The stats that are provided by, you can go to the FBI, look at whatever. I always recommend doing your own research, not just looking up something on YouTube. But one thing that, especially the topic of like the politics and using your platform in sports, is so many people are passionate about things, but they're not really moving to inspire people. You know what I mean? When LeBron James started that school, or when he donates and he helps those third graders, that's inspiring. When he's using his platform to talk about racism and does nothing about it, it loses all merit. Because when was the last time he wanted to sit down with police officers, have a conversation with them? Because I know that's a big thing for his platform that he talks about. When's the last time that he did that or wanted to? You know what I mean?
I couldn't say that him specifically has done it, but I know other athletes have done that. I know other athletes have.
Yeah.
So
and I don't mean to generalize all athletes. I'm just specifically talking about LeBron James. You can tell someone's passionate about something by their actions. Is all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
So you don't feel LeBron is being as real as far as when it comes to these issues?
Maybe in some. I mean, I feel like a lot of it is a performance. I'm not going to say everything is a performance, but he did an interview and he had the Malcolm X book, and when the interviewer asked him about the book, like what does he think, what are his best parts, and he said that he's a couple of days into it, and he kind of talked a little bit about it, but he said he finished the book and didn't really give any points on the book. He just talked about racism. You know what I mean? I feel like him holding the book was supposed to be a statement, but not being able to comment on the book made it more of a performance.
Got you. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
And like, I'm not saying like he's all fake. I'm not saying that he's a bad person. Just, you know what I mean? Sometimes I think it's just a performance. And
so, do you think, like with Zlatan's statement, do you think athletes shouldn't be using their platform, like when it comes to like post game or pre game interviews, to talk about stuff that they feel really is important, like whether it's the George Floyd issue or Breonna Taylor or anything that's happened in the last 50 years or so? Like, because racism has been around forever. Like, let's be honest. Yep. But like, But do you feel like that needs to stay out?
So, in my personal opinion, this isn't based on facts. It's just my opinion. I kind of think it should be treated like church and state. You know how it's separated. I think politics should be separated from sports. Sports is supposed to be something that unites us. You know what I mean? Against one evil, the referees.
Don't referee.
Yeah,
Shut up.
but yeah, man. I've noticed like with sports when they start getting more political, allowing players to be more political, there's much more controversy, there's much more division, and I don't think it's been this kind of divided in sports specifically in a long time. You know what I mean? I feel like it's getting worse, and it'll be getting to a point, and you'll start seeing viewers dropping just because of it. And I'm not saying that these athletes, like specifically using their sports platforms, is good because if they want to, you know what I mean. All power to it. I'm just stating my opinion on it, but we can't pretend that these guys don't already have big platforms outside of sports. I'm sure LeBron James can make one tweet and it'll go viral tomorrow. It'll probably go viral tonight.
But Jesse, isn't a great chance, and when you already have reporters and all media just right there in front of you, microphones, isn't that just your best opportunity to just go ahead and take your chance with what you believe in? Like
you really believe LeBron James can't make a call to any news station tomorrow morning and then them be there?
I'm not saying he can't.
No, right.
But I'm saying like he can be taking all his other time that he can to be doing volunteer work or stuff like that, right? Like we don't know. We're not in these athletes, bodies, 24/7. Clearly they have practice. Clearly they have other stuff. Clearly they're, they have other stuff going on. And they can have their own people working on their foundations to make things go along because, these sports athletes like basketball, they're playing 82 games most of the time. Not this year, of course, because of the whole Rona thing. But most of the time they're playing 82 games a year. They're gone from their family 7 months out of the year. Like, why not when you're not actually taking the time to practice, rest, or nutritionalize, when you have the chance to have a reporter in front of you talk about the issues?
So in any of your jobs that you ever had, and I'm reflecting too, has your employer ever been supportive of you being passionate about your beliefs?
Oh hell no! I remember when I was the director for our retreat a few years ago, and they wouldn't let me go to freaking be the director and go try to lead our group the best I could.
No, I got you.
No. Yeah, I've been held back from religious beliefs. Yes.
Yeah, and it's hard, you know what I mean? Especially because it's not like there's no reason that there's no good reason they have, because it brings controversy, it brings division when talking about it. And I believe I've always had like this belief that anything is possible with the right approach. I just feel like a lot of people take the wrong approach to things and it causes division. Because there's a right way to talk about racism. There's a right way, like for you and me to talk right now about this kind of topic. No one's getting mad, no one's yelling. But it's this kind of conversation that needs to happen, not the conversation where it's a shouting match. You know what I mean? Then you start making fun of me, I'll make fun of you, and I mean we're ready to do that. But
but okay, so I understand what you're saying, but what's the best way to say it? We can't be living comfortably, can we? Like me and you can say we're comfortable. Like I haven't dealt with much as far as actual racism or any prejudice on my end. I can't say that, right? Unless far back and I closed it and I don't remember it, right? Me and you get knocked a lot for our religious belief. Like that we have to go through almost on a daily basis. Whether it's because we're Catholic and we're not non-denominational Christians, or we're not, worshiping Allah, and no knock on anybody that, believes in what they believe in, right?
To each their own.
Yeah, exactly. But we find ourselves sometimes in Facebook, wars or, matches with other people just because of the slightest disagreement.
Yep.
But with LeBron James or with any of the athletes like Kyrie or NFL players, even NHL, MLS, whatever, right? Whatever you are. And you have a platform and you're talking about something that does make people uncomfortable, whether or not you lose viewers, does the viewership matter when you're trying to get a point across and make the world a better place?
So I would agree with you if he didn't just speak on one topic, but like all of it. Like there's I think maybe three main points, or two I can think of right now. Is the police brutality, which is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
In each situation, we can evaluate it. We can look at the evidence, and we can determine who was in the wrong. You know what I mean? And if it's a police officer, I'll be right with him. Like either I'll be hopeful if they get fired and get sent to jail, and vice versa if it's the other guy. You know what I mean? But that's the only thing that's being talked about. The other thing that's not talked about and that's just as important is accountability. Like you don't see LeBron James talking to the black community about accountability. You know what I mean? And that's important. Like as a brother, like for me and you, for our relationship to continue, like we have to be accountable for each other. If I'm doing something wrong, you're gonna call me out. You call me out all my shit my whole life. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Like that's how you know we're there for each other. Not because we sugarcoat things, not because if you're doing something wrong, I'm gonna blame the other person. But when you're doing something wrong, I'm gonna call you out. Because, out of love. There's no accountability and there's no one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about everything else. It's easy to point fingers. It's much harder to talk about yourself or what's happening at home.
No, I understand that. But in the end, right? Like we can, like I said, we can speak for our Hispanic heritage, for our Mexican family and stuff like that. We can't speak for black people, right? Like, at the end of the day, right? Like we can never actually speak for them.
True.
Like we're like we can honestly say we have to listen, and then if we could talk, we can have a conversation, but not like argue or like banter and just throw hands. I mean, we can throw hands if you want, but that's not exactly what the idea is to be, right?
Yeah.
Like unless my mom is hiding shit or my grandparents ever told me shit, I can't say that like my ancestors were taken out of their houses and then thrown into during the Holocaust and all that shit. I can't say my ancestors were beaten and raped. And I'm sorry if this gets real for anybody who's watching this, but this is real life. Like this is what we're here talking about. Like we can't say that we were our ancestors were thrown on boats and then sold for slavery and shit like that.
That's actually happening now in Mexico. Just FYI.
It's happening in a lot of places. China too.
Not just one place, but it's happening today.
Yeah.
Two Hispanics, two Mexicans. But we can look at that. We can look at that evidence, and if we want to talk about the past, we can get into the past. And I don't think there's one person that doesn't know that the U.S. has a history with racism. History. There's no laws today that is going to be like against any type of race.
So if LeBron or any black athlete or any athlete in general, like that supports the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that, like I personally don't feel like I don't see anything wrong with them talking about it in their post interviews. If that's what they want to talk about, because they're getting paid to do media, but they can refuse to answer the questions, and then bring up the topics that they feel like it is important, which is like that's fine, right? Like that's your time, and it's not the players' money getting affected exactly when it comes to viewership. Like, yes, viewership is very important. But at the end of the day, like, let's be honest, how many of these viewers that say I'm no longer going to watch sports because they're getting too political?
I think 17%. 17%. They did like a survey, and 17% of people.
But is that much compared to like?
Well, compared to all of them, it'd be a lot to us because of our viewers or like people seeing my banner or your podcast. But in the scheme of things, I don't think it's going to be that big. But yeah. But
I just think in the long run, like I think where Zoltan is wrong, and here's why I think he's wrong, is because he's used his own platform to talk about racism, about how he didn't like it being used against him because he has a Muslim last name because of his father.
Yeah, he was in London, right, or he was in Europe.
Yeah,
he was talking about that.
He was playing Europe soccer. He was playing because the Swedish team. If he had his Croatian mom's last name and a more Swedish name, that he would have they would have taken care of him, but because he had a Muslim name, they treated him differently.
This was
They
in a
didn't take
post
care of him.
conference, like
This is like in 2018, like he was talking about it.
Mhm.
And
But was it like his sports platform that he was talking about it?
yeah,
I'm just trying to get all the info.
I can't exactly remember if it was like during like one of like pre or post interviews and
Mhm.
stuff like that, but it was talking about it when it comes to the national team and stuff like that. But again, still like that's a media time, right? Like
Yeah,
even like let's say nobody actually asked him about it and he just brought it up. I mean, that's essentially what
that's still his time.
Yeah, that's his time, right?
Yeah.
Like Jesse. Let's say for example, right? We're back at San Antonio College.
Stomping grounds.
And we're jamming out to some Christian music, some good old times.
Mm-hmm.
And then some guy from the Methodist Center comes over and talks to us about how we shouldn't be believing in saints and shit like that, right? Are we gonna defend ourselves at any time, any given day about our faith, or are we gonna, even if it's not there, right, anywhere else, like fuck it, if we were getting married, fuck it, right, or anything like that? Are we going to defend ourselves and what we believe in and all that stuff right then and there, or are we just going to push it on for another day and save it for when it's a more easier time?
Well, in all honesty, I'd probably ask him to sit down and have a conversation. If he doesn't want to, that's on him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I try to have a conversation with him then and there. I've had actually conversations with people about this same topic, and when they're willing to talk about it, they normally start changing how they view Catholicism.
All right, and honestly, cool. And that's like when it comes to like faith and stuff like that. Like we're just we're me and you and most of the people I would say we talk to. I don't know, not all, of course, because some people go hardcore.
Yeah.
We want to conversate. We don't need a shouty match. We need to have we want to have, because at the end of the day, like I'm not looking to be like a dick to you or disrespectful or anything like that.
It's not productive.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Like if I make you like angry and hate me and want to slam doors on your way out, that's who won? No one won. There's no accomplishment. I'd rather we both win, we both shake hands afterwards, and we respect each other. But at the end of the day, I think me and you will see different things. Like I'll think like it's okay for these athletes to use their platforms to talk about stuff. If Muhammad Ali, who famously was a big activist himself for social injustice and other shit like that, that was his idol. I think Zlatan should understand and not worry too much about what LeBron's doing. Let LeBron and the other athletes do what they're doing. We're at the end of the day, right? Like everyone's gonna vote for political wise who they're gonna vote for. Like that's not. I don't think for the most part that changes. But it's okay to have a conversation.
It is.
Shouting matches don't help.
Exactly.
Now, where I agree with you with one thing, LeBron can be a hypocrite. And the reason I say that is because while LeBron had a rebuttal where he was stating that he was a very educated man, where he said he brought up Zlatan's past racism issues with Sweden or other people like that because of his Muslim name, and he knew his stuff. LeBron was very hush-hush when it came to an issue, what was it, about a year ago or so, where Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey, at the time he was general manager for them, he was criticizing China for their views and the Hong Kong protests, right? He was for democracy in China, which of course, if you know China, guys, they're dictatorship. They don't believe in democracy. If they want you to be their bitch, you will be their bitch, and that's pretty much the laws over there right now. Daryl Morey supported the protesters. NBA has pretty much a long-standing contract with China, to show games over there, and China's like what, the number one income in the world, right? Like everything is made in China. Our tables, our chairs, our socks, everything, right?
Yep.
And then when it came to the issue, right, like when people should have Daryl Morey's back, or if not, right, Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, had his back, right? But LeBron James didn't. he called Daryl Morey uneducated. He should have done his homework and shit like that. When we know that there's like their own Holocaust and their own kind of shit going on in China, that's a big red flag on LeBron James for a man who is very protective of, I guess in his words, domestic social injustice. Like, so I guess my question is it hypocritical? Very hypocritical. I mean, I guess we already answered that one, right? I guess what's your view on it? What's your view on that?
So there's no lie. Like, I'm pretty sure, like 100%, that every single person on this earth has been a hypocrite at one point or another, or most of their life. You know what I mean? It sucks for celebrities, athletes, because whenever their hypocrisy shows, it's much more in the light than other people, which causes them to lose merit in the things they're passionate about. And that's one of the things I brought up. Just him not showing a lot of action to the things he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like the racism, like police brutality. He's not making a lot of moves in that direction. He's just talking about it. And it's okay to just talk about it, but that's the thing. You're just talking about it. If you want to be an activist for it, then you got to actually do something. And about the whole hypocrisy thing, like everyone is a hypocrite. I'm not too fixated on it. I mean, it happens. You know what I mean? But
isn't it crazy? Like, isn't it crazy? Like, because as you can see on the banner below, like Nike is based off China. The theory, right? Because I can't say by facts because I haven't seen it with my own eyes, right? Mm-hmm. Is that slaves are making the shoes, right? That's the rumor. That's the thing that's going on. It's been a rumor
for a long time.
Yeah. So how bad could it look? I mean, for LeBron James, Colin Kaepernick, all these Nike stars, and I have a Nike jersey on. Like, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not getting paid.
Sure.
How bad does it look like for them to just, they know those things, and I guess until we actually know true facts, right? Because we're not CIA or anything like that. How does it look?
It looks pretty bad. I mean, again, like you're right. I haven't seen a lot of evidence. There's a lot of rumors, but if it's true, and I don't want to say it is without having the actual evidence and without doing the research, but if it's true, it's going to be very bad. And again, it just feeds into what I was talking about. It's just a big performance. And what I genuinely want is for LeBron to prove me wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know he's a good man. I know he's passionate, but I want to see more from him. He's passionate about the racism topic or about police brutality. I want him to show me more by doing something, going, talking to people. You know what I mean? Not just be all cops are pigs and all that. A lot of people say that. It's the big thing that generalizes all police officers, which I don't believe in. You know what I mean? I just want people to take more action than just being someone who talks about a topic.
When you hear, and I know we're using LeBron James as the big one because he's the biggest star, right?
Yep.
But when you hear these athletes talk about police brutality and they hate all cops, and you see Colin Kaepernick with pig cops socks on,
yeah,
and stuff like that, does it hurt the message? Because I have a good friend, right? He's black, he's very passionate about what he believes in, all the stuff, how he hates racism and all like that. And he says it when I'm talking, when I'm cussing out cops, I'm talking about the bad cops, the racist ones, the bad ones that get away with it and shit like that. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna pause you right there, but these who deems these cops bad? Is it that person? You know what I mean? Are they allowed to deem this cop bad and they get to trash talk him? Because a lot of the times what happens is you see these videos get posted, and you'll see maybe 20 seconds of the video showing a portion of what's happening, and everyone blames the cop automatically. And it's funny. You see everyone from the left blame the cop. Everyone from the right blame the black person or whoever's being arrested, and there's no You know what I mean? There's no one's
There's no
waiting to
medium.
see
There's no medium.
exactly. We gotta be transparent. You know what I mean? We gotta wait for the evidence to come out, and even when the evidence comes out, I've seen people still trash talk both sides when the other person's wrong. You know what I mean? And a lot of people have this. A lot of people have a bias, but I think it's important to be transparent. It's important to, in specific situations, wait for all the evidence. You know what I mean? Instead of jumping the gun, because essentially what you're going to be doing is trash talking these guys, or like if it's an officer, you're gonna be trash talking this guy, or if it's a colored person and he's just an innocent man, they're trash talking him. You know what I mean? They can be ruining his life because one, they'll make him trend, and a lot of people are gonna be talking bad about him. You know what I mean?
But you
It,
could understand why people would be angry at even a small clip, right? Like
no,
just
no, no.
like I
Whenever
mean, like,
there's injustice, it's if your response isn't to be upset, then there's something wrong with you,
right.
and that's it. But it's okay to be upset, but it's also okay to wait, be patient. You know what I mean? Because if you're just angry and you see like with the Black Lives Matter protests where they're looting, you know what I mean? That's not okay. There's a right response. Angry is a right response to when there's situations of police brutality.
And let's state that we don't believe all Black Lives Matter people, the one that believe in it,
Hmm.
are there to loot or anything like that.
No, no,
We,
100%.
just to clarify, I didn't want people to jump on you on that. I want people to understand, like, because me and Jesse have had conversations for a long time about this stuff. There's a reason why I brought him on here. We understand that people take advantage of people's griefs or like their ways. Like I said,
Hmm.
the friend I'm talking about, like he went to the Black Lives Matter protest.
Hmm.
I mean, the protest here in San Antonio,
Yeah.
but he didn't stick around for the looting. That's not the shit he was there for.
Yeah,
Like,
and I
mhm.
applaud those people because it's so much. It's very hard to be in a situation where you're about this movement and then shit's going sideways and you step away. You know what I mean? You can be there in the craziness because it's almost attractive when things are going crazy and you want to break shit too. Especially if you're angry at a situation, it's easy to fall into that. But to be the bigger man or a bigger person, like if you're a strong woman and walk away, like that's empowering, and that's
Yeah.
the kind of inspiration that we need to see instead of like the media only showing like one side where they see like just people looting. You know what I mean? They don't see the people walking away, and those are the important people we need to highlight.
Yeah, and that's the shitty part because they know that they're talking about the people that were at the Black Lives Matter, movement,
Mm-hmm.
to protest against police brutality or, against racism. And at the thing is like, well, these same protesters ended up destroying things, killing, beating,
I mean,
these store owners and all
it's
this
the
stuff like
same
that.
situation at that Trump rally. You know what I mean? There's good protesters there and people who intended to do harm or like break shit. You know what I mean? And the people who walked away, that wasn't highlighted. You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
highlight was on everyone trashing shit, and those are scum. You know what I mean? But the
yeah.
people who walked away, even though like that was a group, and you know what I mean, they were like hyped in that situation. They were strong enough to walk away. That's inspiring, and that's the type of people we need to be looking at, not just the shit going crazy. You know?
Jesse,
And
what would you say is your political stance? Like, would you say you're Republican, Democratic, or a
I
butterfly?
I lean more conservative, just my personal beliefs. But when someone does something wrong, like I'm there to call it out. When Trump did something wrong, I called that shit out. And he's not by far the best president, but I don't think he's the worst. Um, but Biden, I personally didn't vote for Biden. I didn't like a lot of his stances and a lot of things he said and done. But I am hoping he proves me wrong. I'm not going to hope for a president to fail because voting for someone to fail is like voting or hoping you get in a car accident while driving. You know what I mean?
You're not getting a tattoo across your chest that says "He's not my president."
Nope, I'm not going to be rocking that hashtag.
Uh, um. So we live in a world now that cancel culture is a bitch. Cancel culture is a very, a very terrible plague. Like, I understand, like, if you're angry and upset, but we can't just cancel everything just because it makes us uncomfortable. I agree sometimes when things need to be canceled, and I agree sometimes when it doesn't.
Hmm.
And I didn't tell you about this one, but how did you feel about Gina Carano getting fired from The Mandalorian?
honestly, I thought it was a bunch of bullshit. Because you saw a bunch of, and you saw it specifically from the Democratic side, and one person that comes to mind is AOC.
Mm-hmm.
She made the exact comparison to like the kids in cages, as she said,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny because now they don't use that term. Now that's something else. It's overflow facilities. But anyways, she made the same comparison about the Holocaust. You know what I mean? And they applauded her, and that's okay. Like that's her opinion. I disagreed with it, and Gina made a comparison like that,
As,
and she was
and to
shut on.
clarify for the people who didn't read her tweets or Instagram post, whatever it was, she was talking about how the neighbors betrayed the Jews. How if you were in Germany or a different country, wherever you were, right, like your neighbors betrayed the Jews and sold them out,
Mhm.
and that's what got them, raided and
And
captured
round
and
up, yeah,
thrown into you know
all that
terrible
horrible
places,
shit, yeah,
horrible shit. Um,
and
and that's all she meant by it. She didn't mean any more. But if you ask, you know, whether it's like left, democratic, and I can understand why even Jews would be upset. Like this is the part. Like I can understand why the Jews are upset because no matter what, that shit always lives on them. Like there are people that survived it and still have their numbers, like what they were labeled as over there, the scars, those things that will never go away, and they teach those to their children and their grandchildren, etc. And I understand the pain, but I don't think Gina was trying to come out of
her,
malice when she said
yeah,
it.
she didn't have any like malice intention. She wasn't trying to hurt anybody. She wasn't trying to like hurt like a race or anything like that. You know, or call out Jews. She was trying to make a point across, and whether you believe it was a bad way of making a point or a good way, um, her intentions were clear. But when you see a lot of other people use like that kind of situation with the Jews to make a political point, no one batted an eye towards it, you know? And what's amazing to me is she is a conservative, and how quick did she get fired? Was it a
Uh,
day or two?
and from that, I think it was just a few days afterwards. From that issue, because I know she's had different issues before where she was
Also, it
tweeting.
wasn't the only tweet.
No, she
The,
was tweeting a lot of other stuff, like and it pegged people the wrong way. It wasn't
yeah,
just that.
yeah,
That kind of led to it
yeah.
to the firing, but there was a lot building up from it from months of her talking like she thought the voting was rigged. She was calling for re-elections or how people were fake and other stuff like that. She was going a lot of what people deem as far right views.
Well, she didn't specifically say that the election was rigged. What she did say was that there was voter fraud,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and there's evidence to show that that's what it is. And I think she had a interview with Ben Shapiro, and she talked a little bit about it. And she said that she wouldn't say something that there was no evidence to back up. So, and she clarified that she wasn't saying that the election was rigged. She specifically said that, and she said that what I was talking about was voter fraud, which there is evidence of.
Yeah, I think it's just disappointing in a way because that she was fired. I feel like I understand, like, we're not always gonna agree.
Yeah.
I'm not always gonna agree with my friends on certain things. They're not always gonna agree with me, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. At the end of the day, I'm still gonna give you a hug and tell you I love you. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't want it, that's cool. That's your business. But I'm not the one that's gonna like. I'm not gonna bring on the hate. I'm not gonna accept
Yeah.
the hate. Um,
But what's amazing to me is she got fired. What? Well, I
quick.
think from yeah,
Let's
it
just
was
say
very
quick.
quick.
Let's just say quick.
But how long did it take that chick from Aquaman 2 to get fired?
Bro, too long. Too
Too
long.
long.
Amber Heard. You're
Amber
talking about
Heard.
Amber
That's
Heard.
right. Amber Heard.
I guess the reason, and if you're wondering, like, why the hell I brought up Gina Carano, is she used to be an MMA champion in
Mm-hmm.
the not Bellator, Strike Force. So she used to compete. So
She was a badass.
she's on topic. She's on topic for this. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's not fucking muscled out in the damn roles she's been on, like
Yeah.
Mandalorian or X-Men, or I mean Deadpool, shit like that. Like she's a fighter, like
Yeah.
um
I was upset because I think she had a great character and she actually played the part very well.
Yeah.
It's sad to see her go from that role, but I know she's gonna. I think there's in talks with the. She talked with Ben Shapiro. She's gonna. The Daily Wire is gonna pick her up. She's gonna, I think, help produce and star in a movie that they're gonna make, which is
Yeah.
very cool.
I just don't think in the sense like we gave someone like James Gunn, if y'all don't know who that is, that's the director of the Galaxy of the Guardians, who was, accused of, scandalous things himself, and he got fired um, from his role as director. So they weren't going to bring him back for Guardians 3. He got hired for Suicide Squad 2, and the whole cast fought for him to come back, even though what he had said, even though it was years past, was scandalous, and they all fought to get him back, and they did. But it's crazy that, for something like what he did, and I'm sorry guys, I don't have the top of my head if it was whether it was sex or race, because it was one of the two. But like they brought him back, but Gina Carano is not giving time to talk. And I know Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian himself, like he tried to talk to her, like, hey, like relax, like, because this is like, he's a star. He's got the inside of like what they're talking about. Like they might fire her and stuff like that. So I know he tried to talk to her, like, relax, like, but sometimes you just want to fight for what you believe in. LeBron does it. I respect it. Gina Carano does it. I respect it. Donald Trump, I don't respect it.
Yeah, he definitely has a way with people.
Uh,
He's a big old troll.
Oh man. And like I said, good luck to Biden. If you voted for him or you didn't, wish him luck, because it's still our country, guys. We need our leaders to be at their best, and we don't want to wish the worst of them. So
it's silly to root for someone to fail. You know what I mean? Especially a president.
Right, like, oh yeah, he's gonna suck. I'm like,
well, I didn't agree with it for people doing it to Trump. I don't agree with it people doing it to Biden.
No, absolutely not. Like, and at the same time too, I tell people, and I said this because I didn't vote Trump in, right? I didn't vote for that, or vote for Hillary in 2016. I said, if you didn't vote, shut up. You actually have to shut up, because you didn't do anything at the time. Like even if it was like my wife, like if she said something like she was unhappy with, I'm like, babe, me and you didn't vote. We have nothing to say. That's not our spot. We want to make a difference. We do it next election.
Exactly.
We voted
because you don't want to be a person that just talks. You want to put those passions into action.
Yeah. So like, it is what it is. Jesse, you got any other final thoughts before we move on, or to end our night?
The only other person I can think of that was a topic I think we touched on, which were his socks, but we forgot to mention that about him kneeling, Colin Kaepernick.
So what is your take on kneeling?
So I think it goes back to like the whole job thing. I don't think it's appropriate to do it like on the job. Oh, if it's allowed, then it's allowed. Like, all power to him. But I mean, people shit on Tim Tebow, I think it was, for doing the sign of the cross. Like, if it's either both of it's good and allowed, or both of it's bad. You know what I mean? There's no.
So isn't that on the NFL?
Yes.
Because 100%. But do you put any blame on Colin Kaepernick? Because the rule is there is no rule when it comes to the national anthem, but the rule is you can't do anything of religious beliefs when you do a touchdown celebration or shit like that. It's one of the stupidest things, like that team, like he couldn't wear John 3:16 like underneath his eyes because of religious belief views and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So your answer.
Again, like, there's no transparency there. I feel like they're treating it different. You know what I mean? And we're talking about two people's beliefs. Either both of them are okay, or none of it's okay. And I think that hypocrisy is what I really dislike about the NFL, and something that they should address. You know what I mean? Like, one thing that I'm real big on is trying to be fair. And you ask my wife, like, she hates it because I just want to be fair. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't. If something's unequal, I want to try my best to make it equal in the best approach that I know. But this is something that I feel like needs to be addressed, and I don't think they have commented on it.
They tried to make a rule where they said you can't, kneel or sit down during the national anthem. They got a lot of backlash, and then they reversed it a week later. This was during like an off season.
Yeah.
Um,
They should
but
if they reverse that, and that's okay if he wants to kneel, but then it's all should be okay if he wants to do the Santa Cross on the field. You know what I mean?
right during the game doesn't like
Yeah.
that shouldn't matter. Um, as a Catholic, because we have a lot of people we know that are very heavy on they don't believe you should be kneeling because that should be reserved for Jesus. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I would have to say, what are the intentions? If the intention is to give it up to the cross, give it up to Jesus, then you know what I mean. Then more power to him. But again, like people are so quick to respond and not understand like what's going on, and I think that's like the main topic really for tonight. But it's just a problem that people have, whether you're religious or not. I think, and Jesus teaches that you need to be patient. You know what I mean? You need to sit and wait. But people are just so
But do
passionate
you
about things and need to talk about it.
do you have so you have a problem with them kneeling because they're against racism, against police brutality and stuff like that?
I have no problem with them at all.
Okay.
I do believe that there is a place and time for everything.
Hmm.
Um, but because they didn't allow Tim Tebow, I just believe that they shouldn't allow anyone else. But if they want to allow Colin Kaepernick to kneel, that's fine. But they should allow, you know what I mean? They should make it equal on all sides.
So your overall view is that you're okay with it, but make it fair for everybody, like Tim
Exactly.
Tebow, like any
Anyone else who wants to,
Christian or worship their beliefs, God,
or
anything
even
like
not Christian, you know what I mean? Just for all
that. Yeah.
people, like, and that's an imbalance that I see, and I feel like people are starting to notice.
Oh yeah.
Another thing I personally have with Colin Kaepernick is he said a couple of things that I very much disagree with. I think he mentioned that the United States of America and its flag oppress black people and colored people. I don't see evidence of that. I mean, I don't feel oppressed. You know what I mean? I know he's talking about specific situations, but he's someone who generalizes everything. And the whole sock thing, like if I know he commented on the socks, I think it was like a month after or something like that, because people kept bringing it up, and he said that it was to target the bad cops. But like that's you know what I mean? That can just be for show, or he generally believes that. But like the problem is generalizing, and then a lot of people get upset because they don't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I have my own issues with Colin Kaepernick. Like, I feel like, I mean, I think he does like truly care about trying to end racism against police
Mm-hmm.
brutality. But I feel like sometimes the way he just comes out, whether it's on
Yeah.
interviews and stuff like that, it's just arrogance behind it, and just like he says that he wants to play football, and then there's no real like nobody believes him because he's fucking his own ways to get back into the league at the time that he could. He's
Mm-hmm.
33 now, hasn't played in 4 or 5 years or longer, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, Colin Kaepernick is. I like again. I have no issue if he kneel. I
Mm-hmm.
have no issue whatsoever. I of course will not have issue if Tim Tebow kneels and he's
Mm-hmm.
praying after he scored or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like you don't bring in your own arrogance or negativity into the
Mm-hmm.
matter. It doesn't accomplish anything.
Yeah. Facts.
So, Jesse, thank you for coming on tonight, man. I appreciate you coming here and talking with me about this stuff. I mean, this is
Good
not an
topic,
easy
man.
it's not an easy conversation to have.
Yeah.
People are not gonna always feel comfortable with it. There's always gonna be a lot of negativity behind it, but we can only wish the best for everybody. Where can the people find you at? What do you want to promote, brother?
Well, I definitely want to promote. Hey, how's it going? I definitely want to promote your podcast,
Oh, me?
PPS. I'm
Oh,
gonna whisper it.
I'm
I'm gonna whisper it in Kim. PPS.
Oh my god, you're stupid. You don't even know the handles, do you? It's okay, don't worry. I'm gonna say it. But anything as far as your band, are y'all doing any gigs anytime soon, or are y'all moving forward with something?
So unfortunately, we're not doing any gigs as of right now, just because of the whole COVID thing.
Mhm.
We still find it unsafe. We tried doing a Bible study, like not the band specifically, but the group I'm with. We have tried hosting Bible study, but I think people ended up having COVID and not knowing and going to Bible study. So it's difficult to try to do things right now, and it's still a little early. Even with the vaccine coming out, and a lot of people having the vaccine, I think we still need to wait and see, just to be safe, and not just for us, but like for our family members. You know what I mean? I know we have a lot of family members who are old or like have underlying diseases, and whether you think you'll survive COVID or not, they might not. So just keep that in mind, and definitely want to plug the band. So if you have an Instagram, Facebook, look us up, Dear Graceful, not deer, as in like deer, not grapefruit either, because we've been called that.
You've also been called Dear Ungrateful, Dear.
Yep, so many things. But
Producer member, shout out.
Yes. But yeah, if you have any questions or want to have a conversation with me too, like I'm down to have a conversation with anybody who wants to talk. You know, if you want to hate me, make fun of me too, hit me up because I enjoy that too.
It's actually true, guys. Like y'all think that you're gonna get him upset, but he just kind of just laughs it off. So
I like drinking the tears.
Oh, you like stirring the pot. That's what you like to do. You just like to like stir little things. Like
it's true.
You're such a bad person.
I can't help it, you know.
Oh, I know. You're like, oh, giddy. Cool, man. All right, guys, and of course, y'all know you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter. On Instagram, Puro Pinche Sports Podcast. On Twitter, PPS_podcast. Check out our other YouTube videos. Check out our past podcasts. You know, we're gonna try to have a 1-year reunion coming up about next week. We actually had Jesse on for the first episode almost a year ago, so we'll see how things go. But Jesse, you're almost 50 next week.
Oh Lord, aren't you older than I am? I forget.
I'm younger. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in, Jesse. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for stirring up shit. It's what I asked. It's what I want you to do because it's fun that way. Guys, we are Puro Pinche Sports, and we are out.